This is the Lumix L10. I'm sure you've already seen it somewhere on your feed, but what I'm trying to figure out is if this is actually the perfect dad cam for me or not. And I really wanted to let the initial hype of this camera kind of wear off a little bit.
I'm gonna have to go and change my fucking pants is what I'm gonna have to do.
Is this sponsored by Higgsfield?
Is this?
And take my time to really like give you guys an honest perspective on this thing after actually testing it as a daily camera for a few weeks. So here's just a clean layout of how I want to approach this video. First of all, I was one of the maniacs that pre-ordered the S9 the moment it was announced. I was not a part of that launch event at all. I saw the videos from everybody and I was like, dude, this actually might be the perfect dad cam, daily carry documentary photo video camera for me. My goal with the S9 was to have a camera that could shoot really high quality JPEGs because I don't really have time to edit photos, but I want to capture moments of my family, my friends, just daily life in high quality without it making my life miserable editing every single night. And after spending a good amount of time with this camera, I realized that it was not the perfect setup for me for that type of shooting, like daily photo video stuff. Yes, it creates incredible quality for both video and photography, but there were just too many inconveniences that made me not want to pick it up for those reasons. The main ones were the lack of an EVF, and at the time it didn't really have truly compact autofocus lenses that actually gave you a nice image. So I went on a journey with this camera. I probably peeved quite a few people off, but I stopped using it as my daily carry dad cam and instead started using it as like a secondary camera or vlog camera for my content creation stuff. And for that, it's fantastic, but that's enough about the S9 for now. Then I tried some other options like the Nikon ZF, which was beautiful, but too big. The XM5, which was really close to being perfect, but has no viewfinder. I can't do it. The OM3, which is relatively compact, really nice photos, but for video, it just wasn't it for me. The Canon PowerShot V1, which honestly was a pretty good all-arounder, but it didn't really have like the JPEG photo stuff that I want, and I didn't love the image quality. And recently I tried the Sony ZV-E10 II, which actually is a really solid option that I've been considering getting. I just rented it for a trip to the Virgin Islands with my family, and it was actually amazing. But yeah, I guess Sony doesn't really have those JPEG options I'm looking for either, but that's a solid contender. But then I get a sneaky little Lumix email inviting me to a launch event, and I had no idea what the product even was. They were like, "Can you come to Japan?" I was like, fine. So before I get into the nitty gritty of the L10, here's a quick disclosure. Lumix is not paying me at all for this video. I don't even have to make a video. I just want to do it to keep you guys updated on my dad cam saga. They did pay for my flights and my hotel, a little bit of my food while I was in Japan. So thank you to Lumix for that. That's what a press trip is. I don't go on a lot of them, but that's typically how they work, which is another reason I like to kind of wait until I get home and test the product more before making a video. I don't really care about hitting the embargo dates, and I don't want to have like a false sense of hype in my video because it is really exciting when you go to these events and you get to keep this camera for free. You get flown to Japan. Like, you feel wined and dined, so it definitely elevates your experience. So I really like to take my time to let that kind of simmer down. And also I want to say I understand the people who are tired of sponsored content. This is not a sponsored video by Lumix. It is sponsored by my friends at Professional Photographers of America, but I understand like the exhaustion with consumerism, but I would just say like, don't be mean about it. You don't have to watch these videos, you know? You don't have to. So now that those idiots left, here, let me show you how much Lumix paid me. I'm joking, but PPA is paying me, so thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. We'll talk about them in a sec. So at the L10 launch event, which was in this fancy museum in Japan, it was absolutely incredible. They pitched this camera to us as an experience, enjoyment-based piece of tech, which is actually very refreshing because so many companies are just focusing on the spec wars of making slightly higher resolution, one extra spec in their iteration of camera that you absolutely don't need. I think the only specs they mentioned in the entire presentation was that it was the GH7 sensor, which is like 26 megapixels, and effectively you get to use about 20 of those. But other than that, it was all about having really fun features and a really nice looking camera body and going out and enjoying photography. And that's another thing they really emphasize is this is a photography focused camera, which is actually really refreshing as well to see from Lumix. which they are usually known for their video cameras, their video specifications. Lumix can't help themselves. This thing does pack a punch for video, but we'll talk about that later as well. So this is around $1,500 depending on which version you get. There's gold, black, silver. This is the titanium gold. They took the logo off the front, put a little one on the back, which actually looks so beautiful. But is it worth that amount of money when there's other compacts in the market? I'm not really going to make this like a comparison between too many other compacts. I'll mention some stuff, but I just want to hone in on what this camera is. Let's start with design and build quality because I got a 2-year-old and an infant on the way. This thing better be tough. This is absolutely a step up in build quality from the S9, especially in terms of the buttons, the dials, the switches. They feel a lot higher quality. My dial, despite thinking that I fixed it in my last S9 video, it kind of just broke again. I need to send this thing in because the back dial is terrible. This is a slight upgrade. I'm not going to say it's like the best quality in the world. I guess the newest thing is they did include like a metal top, but I'll be completely honest, like it doesn't feel like metal to me. It feels like plastic, but like higher quality plastic. And I'm guessing it's just like a super, super lightweight material. And the body has like a kind of a rubbery texture. It's designed to look like leather, but yeah, I mean, it feels good. I'm not going to say it's fantastic by any means, but it is better than what they've released in the past. So, and it looks really good. I'll take it. I know some people are going to be upset that it's not actually pocketable. Like you actually can squeeze it into your front pocket if you don't mind the old bulge effect. There's kind of an amazing trade-off, which is the freaking zoom lens. So this lens, you've probably already heard a million times, but it's effectively a 24-75 equivalent to full frame. So that's the field of view you're going to get. At the wide end of 24, it's a 1.7, and you can shoot with a macro mode on this lens as well. So if you get close to your subjects, you can get some depth of field, but that's really not the goal of this camera. I know people are going to complain about micro four thirds. I'm not upset about that because I'm not using this to try to get like portraits with shallow depth of field and stuff. I'm using this to document. And honestly, I've been really enjoying stopping down a lot more too. So for me, a lot of my testing has been at f2.8 because then I can zoom through the entire range of the lens and have that constant aperture of 2.8. And because this is micro four thirds, f2.8 is similar to a full frame 5.6, which is one of my favorite apertures. It just makes everything look more painterly and beautiful. And it's fun to see those textures in focus in the background sometimes as well, especially for like documentary, street photography, stuff like that. You don't always have to go for a crazy depth of field. And the lens itself actually really surprised me. When I saw that it was a zoom and it was really compact, I thought the quality was gonna suck. It's a Leica approved Vario Sumilex. I don't even know what that means, but essentially the image quality is really good. Even when I'm looking at it on my monitors, blown up, full screen, it looks really nice, thankfully. It's not the most textured, character-driven image quality you've ever seen, but I think for like general purpose shooting, this was the smart way to go. A pretty clean, simple looking lens. But what's cool is you can get way more character by using the internal JPEG settings and fully customizing your image profiles. So for instance, they have a list of built-in profiles that you can bake into your JPEGs. I strangely really liked the landscape profile. I never used like the portrait or landscape profiles on any cameras, but I was having a good time using that one in Japan. But then you can also add your own LUTs. So you can make LUTs, you can buy LUTs, drop them straight into the Lumix Lab app, and then sync them to your camera, which is just so much fun. I've made 4 Lumix LUTs if you're interested, no pressure. What's really cool is you can take that a step further. You can add grain at low, standard, or high. You can customize the tone curve. You can add color noise. You can bake in an aspect ratio, although they do need to add the 65:24 widescreen aspect ratio. Just crop the top and bottom, Lumix. Just give it to us. It's super fun. So overall, you can get whatever look you want out of this camera, which is something I prefer about the Lumix system over Fuji now. And I know I said this isn't going to be a big comparison video, but because I am officially the founder and CEO of Fuji Juice, I do have to mention, like, when it comes to Lumix Lab and their LUTs and that function versus Fujifilm's recipes, I would choose this because I feel like I just get to make whatever I want. One thing I strongly dislike about this lens though is the zoom speed. In photography, it's very slow. Like it's a nice range, but I just really wish it was faster. But thanks to this cute little switch on the back where you can go from photo to video or S&Q in an instant, I can get over to video mode, but the zoom while recording is even slower than photo mode. Moving the button, then it starts zooming. I was really hoping this would have a faster zoom, like when I'm filming my son or my family or whatever. Those crash zooms are just so fun, and this is way too slow, unfortunately. Another thing I noticed about the zoom in video mode specifically is even when I change the lens to 2.8, which should give me a constant exposure through the entire lens, when I'm zooming in and out, I notice slight exposure flickers.
It looks like there's like still an adjustment happening exposure-wise, even though everything is the same at 2.8. See that?
Which make no sense because everything's manual. I have my shutter speed set, my ISO, and aperture. Nothing should be changing, but I get multiple flickers throughout the zoom range. I know this isn't really built to be a video camera, but I don't know. It's just one little bugaboo I found. On the body, you get one battery door, obviously, and then you have a separate door now for your SD card. This little small rig plate on the bottom is really nice because it gives you a little bit of pinky support down here, and then you get access to both doors. And it's also Arca Swiss, so you can put it on your tripods. And then on the top, I have this thumb grip here, which just gives you a little extra grip. Both of those accessories came with the camera for us at the event, and they don't really bulk up the camera too much. It gives you a little extra grip here, and this grip feels better than the standard camera grip. So small rig crushed those accessories. Highly recommend those. For ports, you get a USB-C, a mic jack, and the hot shoe right here is actually intelligent. So it works with their microphone, their newish, weird looking microphone, and it can work with flash syncing and stuff like that. And I know these are two different classes of cameras, but the S9 having a cold shoe was a big disappointment for a lot of people. This was a huge hit. Legitimately, at the presentation, that was the loudest cheer from the audience, was when they said it was an intelligent hot shoe. If you want to look like an absolute ding dong, you can put this on here. And yeah, there's your little mobile video kit. There are a few things I think they missed in the build and design though. The first one is that it doesn't have an internal ND. This does have a leaf shutter, just like the X100 cameras. There I go comparing them again. But this does not have the internal ND, which it would have been really nice for sure, especially for video for me personally. I love that about the X100 cameras is I don't really have to have an ND filter. But for photography, I never found myself needing an ND. This does have a mechanical shutter, which I really like. You can use electronic as well because the mechanical only goes up to 1/2000th of a second in shutter speed. If you need to go higher, you can use electronic, but because the ISO is able to go so low, and you can adjust your aperture, and I like shooting at 2.8, I never found myself, even in midday in Japan, needing an ND or needing the electronic shutter. For video though, that ND would have been absolutely clutch. Also, the shutter sound is so subtle. I turned off the sound effect that you can add on top of that. I don't know if you can even hear that, but it's really subtle and cute. Now let's turn this thing on and see how fast it can take a photo. How about video? Cool. Another huge win for the build though is the fact that they gave us an EVF. It's OLED. It's not the highest resolution, but I really don't care. I just wanted an EVF, and I'm so glad they gave us this rangefinder style one that looks good enough. It's not the nicest in the world, but we have one. And for me, I'm totally okay with a flip screen if I have an EVF, because for video, I can use this. For photo, I can use this. This is a great combination for me. I'm perfectly happy with this. So now let's talk about how this thing performed for photography. And I just want to say a huge shout out to my friends at Professional Photographers of America. It's the best membership I've ever had. I've been working with them for years. And if you use my link, you'll get $25 off your membership sign up. And the perks are absolutely insane. You get up to $15,000 of gear, equipment, insurance. So if you go on a trip to Japan, you drop your camera, you break it, having that equipment insurance is absolutely vital. It's also able to be used as collateral for rental houses if you're renting filmmaking gear. But they also have an entire education platform where you can up your photography skills, your business skills, and there's a million other perks too, like just having data loss protection, or PPA can even step in to help you with client issues. The list goes on and on. It's the most valuable subscription you could possibly spend money on. So cancel a couple of those streaming services you don't use and get PPA using my link. But now let's talk about the photography experience. And for me, the biggest thing is it is freaking fun to use. And it works exactly how I was hoping it would. Meaning for me, the JPEGs, which I've only been shooting JPEGs, sorry, you're not gonna see any edited RAWs today. The JPEGs look phenomenal. They look exactly how I want them to. And they actually give me kind of a film camera experience, because the way I've been shooting is I dial in my preset and then I spend time before I change locations really adjusting my white balance to tweak that final bit of my preset so that I can get it looking how I want. And then I really try to nail my exposure in camera so that when I'm looking at my photos later on the Lumix Lab app or just on the back of the camera here or on my computer, I really get to see like, did I nail it? Did I get the look that I want? And I don't have to worry about editing. You can edit the JPEGs or the RAWs if you want to, but I really love treating it as a premium point and shoot and just getting what I shoot. And for me, that's what I'm trying to find in a dad cam, is something that just becomes effortless and seamless in my routine. Can I actually carry it with me everywhere? Do I enjoy taking it with me when I go out on shoots or client productions to use for behind the scenes? Do I enjoy taking it on family trips or just having it around the house? Is it easy enough for my wife to pick up and just shoot some photos? All of those answers so far are yes. But what about video? I know this isn't built for video, but I'm built for video. I'm a filmmakist. First of all, the specs in this thing are just insane. It has the GH7 sensor and it has some of the same specs. First of all, the biggest resolution frame you're gonna get out of this camera is OpenGate 5.2K up to 30, but it can also shoot 5.6K up to 60p, Cinema 4K, 120 frames per second, and Full HD 240, all in 10-bit vlog. I feel like I should say this is not going to be built for long takes. This is a really small camera. There's not going to be like a fan in this thing. It's probably going to overheat like crazy if you try to record for a long time. I'm not even going to try it because that's not what I'm using this for. I'm using this for quick video clips of my family and friends. And another cool thing about that is you can bake those same LUTs you use for photos into your video files as well. So if you don't want to grade vlog or you don't want to use a standard picture profile that clips the highlights way too early, you can just bake a LUT into your footage. So the base is vlog, the LUT is applied on top. So you get that higher dynamic range look, all that resolution, and you can bake it into your image. There's also MP4 Lite, which a lot of people really like using because you can transfer that codec from this to the Lumix Lab app and post it directly from your phone. No middleman computer required. And what's crazy is they've added 120 frames per second mode for that, which is really, really cool. But there's still no 24 or 25 frames per second for MP4 Lite. I would really love to have 24 as an option, so Lumix, please. Another cool thing about video is you can keep the ISO very low. In the standard profiles, it's like 50, so there's times where you can get away with not using an ND filter. And then in log, I think the lowest you can go is 125 ISO, which is still pretty low. Again, that freaking internal ND would have been the absolute cherry on top of this thing, but it does have a 43mm thread if you want to screw on a filter. But other than that, the video looks great. The colors are really good from vlog. Autofocus is good. It's not Sony or Canon level, but it works. The stabilization is good. It's not IBIS, it's digital only, but for standard like standing still handheld stuff, if you know what you're doing, you're gonna get a great look out of it. It's not as good as their IBIS systems, but it's workable. And I'll just show you what an internal audio clip sounds like from this camera. I'm assuming it's not gonna be great, so I don't know. I don't really feel like ever putting a microphone on this thing, but you can be the judge of what the audio sounds like.
Are you having fun?
Just wish the zoom was faster, dude. Wish that zoom was handy camage.
Now we got to talk about overall thoughts, and is this my perfect daily documentary / dad camera? Perfect? No. Really good? Yes. It absolutely holds up to what Lumix was claiming, which is an experience-based, enjoyable, photo-centric camera. And thank God, on top of that, it also shoots some pretty banger video stuff. So for me, I am absolutely planning on using this as my dad camera for now, because for me, I still haven't found an option that's as convenient as this and also gives me the high quality JPEGs I want for no editing and also really nice looking video that I can bake colors into and have a great look or grade if I want as well. Now the elephant in the room The tiny elephant is the sensor. I know it's micro four thirds, and in my previous dad cam videos, I was really looking for something full frame, and I think I've just realized like that dream is not possible right now. The thing is though, the moment is more important than the visual. Actually having these documentary clips of my son, I'm gonna look back at these someday and absolutely weep when he's older, not because of the shallow depth of field or what the color grading looks like, but because he's my son and I love him. So this is good enough for that. That being said, I do want to talk about what this could potentially mean for Lumix. First of all, and probably the easiest ask I have for Lumix, is to make an interchangeable version of this camera. I think of the Fuji X-T4, which had the X-Trans 4 sensor in it. They put that sensor in so many different body types, like the XE4 and the X100V were essentially a very almost identical camera internally and design wise, but the X100V had the fixed lens. The XE4 had an interchangeable APS-C X mount. I would love to see Lumix try the same thing with this, literally just pull this off, have a micro four thirds mount on there, and let us experiment with vintage glass or whatever other glass we want to get our hands on. But I have two more ideas for Lumix as well. First of all, and I'm sure a lot of you have thought of this as well, give us a full frame version of this. I would love to see a fixed lens version. I don't think they should do a fixed zoom because I'm assuming that would be way too big unless I can figure it out. But like, I would rather see them use this new f2 pancake lens tech that they're working on with the 40mm f2 that came out recently. Make something like that fixed on a full frame version of this. Literally the same exact body type with the EVF, the screen, the dials, all that, but full frame f2 fixed lens, as small as you can make it, like the 40mm. I think that would sell like crazy. And then the very last idea I have is to do that exact same thing I just mentioned, but remove the fixed lens, have an interchangeable full frame L mount, and call that the S9 II. Make it more premium like this with different colorways like you did with the original S9, but also with the gold, silver, black for sure. And have that be the S9 II that has all the improvements that this has with the hot shoe, the EVF, the dials. If you can squeeze IBIS in there, it's fine if it's a little bigger than this. Like the S9 is almost the exact same size as this, so I'm hoping they can do that, because realistically this isn't a comfortable pocket camera. You're gonna have to have it around your neck or something, or in a bag. So I mean, I'm not expecting the S9 II to fit in my pocket either. But I want to know, what do you guys think about the L10? What do you want to see from the future of Lumix? This feels like an awesome step for them. And yeah, I'm really pumped. I appreciate the invite to Japan from you guys from Lumix if you're watching. And I appreciate everybody else for watching too. Thank you to PPA for sponsoring today's video. And yeah, make sure to text me when you get home so I know you're safe. Watch out for deer. And remember, you guys are loved much more than you might even know. All right? God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.